All right, Meow. I hope you're doing well today. I'm not sure what that is. It doesn't really matter because I don't have subscriptions enabled, but that's cool. Let's see. So, we're going to be also streaming on Thursdays now in light of the fact that I had to cut back on how many, let's see what this actually is. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, so cutting down on how many hours I stream each day and then making up for it by streaming another day in order to help reach affiliate better, because the concurrent average viewer has been a metric I've been struggling with for some while now. Mono normal. We gotta do 2 mini bosses, a rival fight, Misty, Bugsy, SSN. Mono normal is gonna struggle because there's certain fights that I have to deal with fighting Mon. And I don't really have much in the way to deal with it since fighting dunks on normal. But I feel pretty good about it. We have some really strong normal types like Kangaskhan. Once I get the Mega Ring for that, Parental Bond goes really hard. Mega Lopunny with Silk Scarf, Fake Out, Mach Punch, etc. Porygon 2 with Eviolite. Once I beat Whitney, I'll actively be choosing to fight Whitney because it's rare that I'm able to leverage the Eviolite benefit, which is if you haven't fully evolved, you get more defense. So for example, there's a Piloswine on the snow route with Eviolite with Thick Fat. Very tonky. Alright, so we're gonna get that going. We're also doing some crime coverage. We're gonna start with this short video from Core TV that shows the motion that the lawyer of Sarah Boone put forth, alleged suitcase murderer, second-degree murder. Her case for snacks was denied. There's also going to be a longer video from Lawyer You Know covering new details that came out, some back and forth between the lawyers. The big thing yesterday was the defense was allegedly forced to disclose part of their strategy because for something like self-defense, there needs to be an overt act. So similar to what I mentioned yesterday, you have two cases. You have the Menendez case. These were two brothers who murdered their parents because they were abused in the past, and they were worried that if they didn't kill their parents, that their parents would kill them. There was no overt act. It was just, this has happened in the past and we don't like living in fear, so we're going to kill them. Whereas Ashley Benefield, the Black Swan case, that was a spouse who killed her partner. I believe she was found guilty of manslaughter because they couldn't prove that it was murder, because some states like Florida allow lesser included charges, which I don't like, because as far as I'm concerned, you charge someone for X crime, and if you don't prove that they committed that crime, that's what you get for either overcharging and or not being competent lawyers. But in states where lesser includeds are allowed, it's like, okay, well, we wanted to get you for first degree murder and we didn't prove our case, so we'll allow lesser includeds like second, third degree, or manslaughter, and that's how they got Ashley Benefield. But in the case of Ashley Benefield, that day, the decedent, aka the dead person, was doing things to the person who's been now convicted. So violence towards the spouse, violence towards their animals, punching walls, etc. That's an overt act. So more or less the judge was like, so yeah, you kind of need to convince me there's an overt act, because if you don't disclose this overt act, I'm going to be like, yeah, there's not an overt act, and we're not going to allow you to argue battered spouse or self-defense. So that was disclosed, and then there's some beef that came from that yesterday. The coverage of that is going to be from the YouTube channel Lawyer You Know. That's Peter Tragos of Tragos Law. He's a lawyer in Florida. He worked with his father at the same practice, I believe. And it's always nice to look at this kind of content from the POV of someone who has practiced law, currently is practicing law, and is sometimes a prosecutor or a defense. And hopefully y'all will appreciate that. And that you all are having a nice Thursday. So let's get right into it with the Court TV video.
In that case, as possibly this afternoon, but more likely tomorrow, because things keep coming up. And this morning, something came up, a couple things. The prosecution upset over some discovery that they were handed, apparently this morning, some JPEG images on a drive. So they have asked the judge for a hearing, a Richardson hearing. They are crying foul. Let's see what the judge says outside the presence of the jury that still hasn't even been picked yet. But there's Sarah. She's in the courtroom. We'll also find out about her snack request.
All right, so right off the jump, double battle against Fossil Maniac. We're gonna fake out both of them. Ideally, the fake out mon are faster than Thwacky, which they seem to be. That's huge. I'm pretty sure Voltorb is just going to go for self-destruct here because he outspeeds everyone else I have. We're going to go with... Let's see, I think we're going to preserve Moscow per Taro, and we're going to go for Honorius because Honorius is relatively tanky, and I think I can eat the explosion. Yes, very good, Morrow HQ. Thank you for stopping by. Court TV. Sarah isn't getting snacks. I hope the stream with you and your sister went well. I also did some digging, and there seems to be a consensus that if you are streaming a Nintendo game, you can absolutely get away with using the music, so I'm gonna have to find various sources of Pokemon music. I appreciate the desire of you and your sister wanting to raid me, but I also understand that, you know, it's kind of important to listen to your body when it says you need sleep. I hope you and the cats are doing well today, and that you'll be able to be here for a bit before you have to do the lurk. I'm grateful that you two were streaming today because you said the other day that your sister doesn't have a set schedule. All right. So right now this is gonna be the Fossil Maniac, the first Archer fight, and then probably the rival fight. We're gonna cover this Court TV video, then a Lawyer You Know video, all on Sarah Boone.
With regard to the Richardson hearing, with regard to item 6 in the defendant's Fifth Amended reciprocal discovery list, the court is going to reserve.
That's unfortunate for your butt. However, cats are higher up in the hierarchy, if you will. Okay, completely understandable, HQ. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for the lurk. And I'm gonna try to get to /beat Surge today. If not, we'll pick up on Monday with Surge in mono normal.
And have that hearing tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Defense is to provide an edited version of only the records that pertain to anxiety or their lack of thereof to the state before 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Judge, number 6 was secured by agreement.
Okay. Did that happen when I was not here?
No, it happened earlier while we were here.
I'm gonna taunt because I don't feel like dealing with Will-o'-the-Wisp from Sableye.
Then what specifically was the Richardson violation for then, if it wasn't for number 6? And I apologize.
Number 2 was the 119 new JPEG pages, according to be from Winter Park Advent Health.
Richardson hearing tomorrow, and you were to provide an edited version of those records that you...
Same thing there, because I don't want Bibberol spamming curse because it's simple Bibberol. So the curse stacks build a lot faster. He'll probably get a curse off, but we won't let him get any more off. And then we'll use Bullet Seed from Meownwell to try to kill it.
You seek to offer into evidence, Mr. Owens, before 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Regarding the paragraph number 2, regarding the Winter Park Advent Health records, the 119 that we gave them this morning.
That is correct, sir. With regard to the witnesses that have been identified by the defense in paragraph 60 of the state's response, those witnesses will be excluded if not deposed prior to being...
And that's also something that, because witnesses are being brought up. When I watched the video we're gonna be watching after this one, I watched like a good bit of it, and there were more or less a bunch of exhibits that the defense was gonna use as evidence for the case they're gonna put on. And more or less because there were no continuances, i.e. a delay, because there's been at least 16 continuances on part of Sarah Boone, and when she was forced to represent herself through her conduct alone, the judge said, short of other things, you're not getting continuances. And James Owens, being the lawyer, with this being a public case, he very much knew about that. So, as there was not a continuance, James Owens and the defense team did not have enough time to get all the evidence they would have liked, which means they're not going to be able to introduce it at the trial. And there's a lot of it. Okay.
Called as witnesses, and the defense shall pay for any and all expedited transcripts.
All right, Judge, the same as should apply to them. There were 3 people that they gave us late that we didn't have before: Rachel Fenner, Meredith McCaskill, and Victoria Shelton.
State response.
Meredith McCaskill is an FLE analyst that is substituting for an analyst that
it's okay
is
though.
not available during the trial period. So, in an effort to not continue the case, we got a substitute analyst. So that's our reason for the late disclosure on her and the other 2.
Michelle Fenner and Victoria Shelton.
Nicely done.
Those are the 911
All right.
dispatchers. If we end up having to call them, then that's fine. We will pay for the expedited transcripts. And what I would expect will not be lengthy nor expensive.
Okay. Has the FDLE analyst that was originally set to testify been deposed in this matter?
I can't use either fossil, so it doesn't matter.
The does not believe that the defendant ever deposed that person.
Okay. Any other positions, Mr. Owens?
Oh, I forgot about Glimmet.
That's provided by the state to the defense.
That's awkward.
Court's going to be in recess. It's 11:27. Hang on. Juror number. Yes, let me address that. Can I have the...
All right.
Please. If you all still have yesterday's...
That basically means now, since I triggered toxic debris from Glimmet, because if you hit her with an attack, it says toxic spikes, I am in an unfortunate position. I don't think I outspeed. Yeah, I don't. Okay. So basically, I have to accept the fact that poison's gonna really hurt. We're gonna go in with Moscow. I'm gonna be poisoned because of course I am. We're gonna go fake out. We're gonna do some double hit. Probably one more double hit. Oh, might have to do 2. I forgot about the berry. Definitely not ideal. I don't have any fighting coverage yet, so it's difficult to deal with dark. Yeah, we know. That was actually awkward. I totally forgot that I only had side beam on Mightyena. So we got a pivot. Priscilla, Ember, we live. We go into Hopsy. I'm gonna fake out, return Max Friendship Return has 102 base power. It didn't go as well as I would have liked, but we got through it. Level cap is now 27, which we already added on the UI ahead of time. Okay.
From jury selection, Madam Clerk has advised that Jury Services has told us the juror in seat 25 wearing badge 63 called the nephew that she cares for is ill and that she is not here due to caring for that child.
Yoink.
He is not here due to caring for that child. State's response, if any.
For cause.
So stipulated, juror number 25 wearing badge 63 will be struck for cause. We'll advise the jury services to call them and tell them they do not need to report. With regard to the War Tennis motion, as to Ms. Boone's request for snacks, the War Tennis motion is denied. Ms. Boone is being provided all the same services as to any other inmate being transported for the purposes for trial. Anything else we need to address?
No snacks? What the fuck? I thought we lived in America. What is this, communist China?
State before we report back to 23 at 1 p.m. Defense?
No, sir.
All right, we'll see you all at 1 p.m. Thank you very much. Court's off the record.
Ah, the snacks. Damn it.
Look, there. She didn't react right away to the motion for snacks being denied. She will receive what everybody else receives.
Nothing.
That is the ruling for the judge. If you missed it, she asked for some specific snacks. In this case, because she felt like she needed them. Let's watch that to remind everybody what she said.
You know, they get commissary there at the jail. She's asking that the officer that escorts her be allowed to bring her commissary. She's asking for 2 juice packs, 5 peppermints, 2 bags of chips, a bag of candy, and a bag of either cookies or a Pop-Tart to allow her through the day.
Ah, there we go, mock punch. Finally a fighting move.
The answer was no. So there you have it.
Damn.
Eric Schwartzreich with us. Your thoughts on Sarah's snacks?
Snack tag.
Hungry mouths do not get fed unless they ask. Let's snack on this.
That's fun.
Interesting are there. Things that typically you might expect a child might want. Peppermints, the other list. I don't know if there were cookies on there, but
yes,
here's the reality. Well, this case, our suitcase, and the lever being placed into a suitcase and the game of hide and seek.
Okay.
She's seeking the battered spouse syndrome. It's an evolution that's come a long way, which really is an extension of self-defense, the Catholic doctrine, no duty to retreat. So just that type of request, that permission. It's a very sad case. Can I have snacks? Can I have these peppermints? Can I have these cookies? Someone that was battered, someone that was abused. I mean, I find that as...
And yeah, I mean, I get it. If you don't ask for something, you absolutely aren't getting it. So I may as well ask. They'll probably say no, but she loves the attention. Sarah Boone is peak narcissist, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, and she's gonna get 2 scoops of justice at the end of this trial. So she'll have plenty to eat for at least 22 years per the sentencing guidelines and mandatory minimum sentencing.
Interesting. I mean, her look, she seemed more concerned about the snacks. I mean, she's on trial for very, very serious charges with very serious consequences. But she's saying, and then the
nasty block. Nice.
She was battered, and if they lay that foundation and they put on the proper witnesses, the doctors, we battle the experts, they're going to try and help towards her self-defense claim that she was in fear that she had no choice but to do this. As far as the Richardson hearing, discovery, fair play.
All right, let's see.
Wrestle with, whether or not discovery for the viewers discovers all the evidence, police reports,
we'll do that.
Everything the state and the defense is going to use in trial, that the defense didn't timely pursuant to our rule of procedure here in Florida. Discovery, it's 3.220, turn over all the documents. They didn't do that, so in time, according to the state, and the judge is trying to wrestle with that. It's a very drastic remedy. Courts don't like to do it, to exclude and to get rid of evidence.
Yeah, he's postponed the decision on that. The Richardson
Okay, Poniard.
Jury selection continued.
Ow. Okay, so we're gonna fake out. We're gonna return. Oh, it wasn't enough? Boo! Boo this man. All right, fake out again. Swap into Priscilla. I'm outsped. I hate that. All right, we're gonna go for a double hit, another double hit, another double hit. Swap into Meowwell. The fake out, that's fine. That's not ideal, but we can do a cheeky little nasty plot, nasty plot, nasty plot. And then sword power is going to hit really hard because it scales with the increase in damage. That being said, I need to swap out here because I'll die to quick attack or U-turn since Bug dunks on Psychic. So it didn't go well because it turned out low sweep from Poniard was a huge issue, especially because it's EV like Poniard, but we got there. So now we're gonna pick up the second video, which is Lawyer breaking down recent developments in the Sarah Boone trial, which once again, alleged suitcase murderer. They're going for second-degree murder. Sarah Boone rejected a plea deal that would have more or less seen her out in anywhere from 4 to 8 years. And she thinks she can win because she's the smartest person in the room. She's an excellent mother. She excels at everything. And she's a straight A student, despite being in her 40s. So, yeah. Let me pull up that video. All right, we're going to heal.
Off and running. Clearly off and running was the statement I was looking for there.
All right, let's see.
This is off and running. So, we're going to jump in with the hearing today, and there was some discussion about what the judge ruled yesterday. What did the judge say yesterday? And people were asking me on my Twitter, like, why do they do that? Everybody was there. Why is the state being so snarky about
Jolly.
this? Why do they need the written transcript?
Well,
it's
Jolly.
right?
Actually, no. Timid.
Giving trial lawyers a little grace, but
okay.
So much is going on. When you got a trial, you got motions going on, you got people coming in and out, you got multiple members of the team handling.
I'm gonna stick to neutral.
So sometimes you take notes. You always should take notes.
Jolly
right?
again.
Granted, denied. But when it's granted in part, denied in part, sometimes
modest.
It can be a little muddy where what the judge actually said, what's allowed, what's not allowed.
Adamant. There you go.
Lawyers, in an abundance of caution, don't want to violate any court orders. So they ask for clarification.
Yep,
they ask for
very
writing,
important.
They make sure they don't break any rules, noting statements, or throughout the case. That's what I think was going on here. Yes, it was a little snippy, snappy.
No.
They ended up doing the audio, which, I mean, at this point, this day and age, everything's happening on YouTube. The links are easily available. You can listen to them on 2x speed, slow them down when you get to the part where the judge actually makes his ruling, and in 5 minutes, you can have everything you need to listen to right there. I think that's what they ended up doing.
Boo! Can't learn anything.
There's a lot of discussion about that because you just want to make sure it's absolutely right. Even the judge, if you notice, didn't say, oh yeah, I granted this, denied that, granted this, denied that, because everybody wants to make sure you remember it and you get it right. And that's incredibly important. So that's what happened at the beginning of this hearing. And then we heard a bunch of discussion and argument about Richardson hearing and discovery violation. Richardson hearing is, was there a discovery violation? Did the defense violate the rules of discovery? Did they hide anything? Was it late disclosed? It pretty much is late disclosed, and the balancing test has to do with, was it willful?
I apologize that there's no closed captions for this.
Or negligent? Was it material or trivial? And does it prejudice the state? Those are the questions. Because if it was negligent and it doesn't prejudice the state and it's something trivial, no big deal.
Rocky
Obviously,
helmet.
If it's willful, that's a problem. If it's material
You
and
hate it.
prejudicial, that's a problem.
No.
The judge, I think, might have the Richardson hearing at the end of the day today. May have already had it.
Okay.
I haven't seen what happens in the Richardson hearing. I don't think it's going to be much of anything, and we're going to see kind of how the defense is dealing with the state's objections to their exhibits. And so many times they kind of back down and say, okay, we're not going to use that, we're not going to call that, et cetera, et cetera. I did want to mention.
I think I can finish Wormerdam off.
Letter from a lady named Teresa that I want to say.
Okay, nice.
Teresa, if you're watching, and
not great, but fire's fine here.
So I'll be breaking.
We'll bring me out again for a fake out.
All right. So let's get in, and the first thing is just kind of a 1-minute clip I wanted to show you guys about the state made the statement that the judge said he read the depo, he heard Sarah Boone at the hearing, and there was no overt act in the discussion with the mental health experts. And
I mentioned the overt act earlier. It's very much when there's an affirmative defense like self-defense or battered spouse, there needs to be something. It's an element of the defense. So similar to how first-degree murder, there needs to be intent, there needs to be premeditation, planning beforehand, even if it's only like 5 seconds. If not all the elements of the crime are there, then it can't be it. And the defense had to disclose that they have what they consider to be an overt act, because if they failed to disclose it, it would give the judge more leeway to be like, well, there's nothing we know of that's considered overt. So if you don't tell me what the overt act is, then it's not happening. And it's good that the judge didn't outright not allow battered spouse as a defense, because there's already going to be a bunch of appellate issues, and you don't lose anything by appealing after the conviction. So they're going to do that anyways. But you don't want to give any like validity to those appeals, because this has already taken so long. Could you imagine if this has already taken about 5 years, it finally goes through, and then they have to do it all over again? It would be insane. This, as of James Owens, the current lawyer coming on board, this has cost Florida taxpayers over $100,000.
I remember the judge actually making that ruling, but let's listen to kind of this really quick discussion about it, and we'll see what we think it means for the trial.
Okay, fake out. Fake out.
That is correct, and the court ruled specifically on that yesterday, and that's in the excerpt that was provided to you and your co-counsel. All right, thank you.
I also believe part of the court's ruling,
not having loaded dice for multi-hit moves really sucks. But at least it's boosted by technicians still.
Experts. I believe the court's position was, if that is the testimony, then that is not an overt act.
Yep, that makes sense.
The court's statements yesterday speak for themselves. I'm not going to rehash that matter today. And
judge is like, I'm not going to say whether or not I said that. So they're going to go back and listen. I don't remember the judge specifically saying that. He did say, what's the overt act? She didn't say an overt act. It did sound like, as he was discussing and thinking about it in his head, that he doesn't think she expressed an overt act. But that was before the defense, as they say today, was forced to show their hand and explain what they see the overt act as.
Also, because I have the benefit of having watched about half of this, the Judge Kranick is going to clap back on the defense being like, well, Judge, we were forced and we don't like that. It's pretty good.
I don't believe I heard the judge, after the defense said that, say
we're fine.
That's not an overt act. I'm finding as a matter of law that that's not an overt act. I don't remember him saying that specifically.
Fake out.
I think that's a decision he's going to have to make in the future. And you guys probably aren't going to like this. And let's go to the AKA, the cat lady.
Bite. Maybe we get flinch.
Justified.
Same thing here.
Is his hand coming out of the suitcase? That's not an overt act. So what happened in this trial? So here's my question. Or here's
fake
my
out again. Bite.
There's two questions here. Is that an overt act enough for the defense to make that argument to the jury? I happen to think yes, it is. if I was on the jury and the overt act came out the way that it's come out so far, that he stuck his fingers out or tried to stick his hand out, and we'll hear what she did when the state does their little mini opening. If I was on the jury and that's the overt act to respond with deadly force, that is far short of the bar to respond with force.
And that's another thing to consider too. If someone like slaps you, you don't get to start blasting. It has to be reasonable and proportionate and the least amount of force necessary to neutralize the threat. Also, if you are the aggressor, and Sarah very much is the aggressor in this, you don't get to pick a fight, and as soon as you start losing, start blasting and being like, well, you see, sir, I defended myself. And a lot of people will get themselves in trouble because they'll have like their pistol permit, they'll have their concealed carry, they'll get in an altercation with someone, and in the back of their mind, well, you know, if things go south, I can just blam, 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 blam. I was defending myself. And I've covered several cases where it's played out exactly like that, and they are sitting in prison for murder for the rest of their life. So we love that for them.
Force like that, in my opinion, but I'm reserving my opinion on that until we actually hear the evidence come out and what
it's
the
fine
experts
though.
have to say. But I agree with you that
Fake out.
as it sits right now, that definitely does not seem like justifiable force. VOD, a Richardson hearing needs to get the details about the discovery violation to figure out whether it was, like I said,
Thunderwave.
was it material,
Boo.
was it prejudicial, and that's what the Richardson hearing is. They say, we just got it this day, Judge, we turned it over as soon as we got
para.
it. We're late on the
Feels
case.
real bad.
It's not a very big deal. The state already knows about this. Or
Fake out.
We've already told them about this.
Jump kick.
Documents following up. Things like that.
Swap out
that's
because
what the
fairy
Richardson
dunks on
hearing is to
fighting.
determine whether or not
Fake out.
there was a discovery violation and what type of violation it was. Dee Dee, did you have your hairstyle
Annoying,
today?
but not bad. Okay. We're going to lead with
Hey, Peter. I'll be
Hopsy
out
for
until
this.
Monday night, so I'm hoping to be at the trial starting Tuesday. I hope to meet you
Okay.
when the time is appropriate.
Fake out.
Thank you, Dre.
Jump
Dre,
kick.
Dre, I'm not positive how to say
I
that.
missed. And even if I didn't miss,
Next
it
week's gonna
doesn't
be tough for me
hit
because I think the following
mischievous.
week is I'm going to be there because
Okay.
Willie's going out of town Thursday and Friday, so I'm on daddy duty alone.
This is
My
Will the
kids are
Wisp
crazy
into
schedule.
Hex.
So, next week's going to be tough, but I'm hoping the following week I can
Actually, it
get
won't be Hex because it can't hit me.
who said
Okay.
Sarah Boone has to testify by narrative, Judge K? So I
Oh,
didn't hear
Shockwave.
that
Yeah.
in
That makes sense.
the hearing, so I don't know what happened when the cameras were off. Joel from
Okay.
SDS said that on Twitter. I reacted that I was a little surprised at that since the lawyers have already asked her questions and
Very good.
elicited information from her. That's very different than what she
I'm
said
not a
before. It was
fan.
under oath.
Maybe we
So
get the
if they were
burn.
worried- If they were worried about
We
Canada
don't.
Report,
Not even
I would
close.
love to see that discussion. If you guys
Okay,
can
fake
see it
out.
on YouTube, send me the link. I'd love to look at it. So that was stated
Not ideal.
by people in the courtroom, but
Oh,
I
I don't
actually
even
hear
have a
that,
normal move.
come
I'm
out in
silly.
front of the cameras.
Okay.
Matthew, cannot believe Sarah Boone is going to trial. Her ongoing antics have been a part of my life for years now. It's the case that got me into true crime.
Not
Isn't
having a
that-
lot of fighting
you know,
is really hard for all these dark
I didn't
types.
hear from a lot of you what case it was that got you into true crime. Okay, so the defense still has not whittled down.
I'm not sure I remember a specific like true crime case, but I remember in 9th and 10th grade I had the ability to take business law in high school, and one of the cases that stuck with me, that as soon as I recognized that there were YouTube channels that covered crime, was the Karen Silkwood case. She was a whistleblower within the nuclear industry. She was leaking unsafe business practices, and she was murdered for it. And I remember it was that chapter. Mike, they do true crime, and I saw him covering Karen Silkwood, and it was basically Jover from that.
On a lot of their exhibits, they still have hundreds
Okay,
and hundreds
let's
of
see.
pages. The state's asked them to whittle down. Last night, they turned over 382 jail records. The state said only 5% of them might be irrelevant. But again, these are all subject to discovery violations, which means the judge can just strike them if he finds that the violation is willful or that it's material and prejudicial to the state. So we're still kind of waiting to hear what the judge cancels out on that or strikes. none of this feels like a huge deal. I think if anything, it's small parts to prove battered spouse syndrome. So we'll kind of see. And again, a lot of this we don't know what's in the 382 pages, so it's hard to really comment on it fully. Then they get into a discussion about Brian Boone. And this is where the lawyers start to get a little hostile towards each other, take some pot shots at each other, and eventually the judge calls everybody up for sidebar before ultimately making his ruling.
Man, I do not have a lot here for this fight. Let's see.
By the way, I see you guys all throwing the names. Menendez, Michael Ross, Gabby Mattia, Chad Daybell.
All right.
Casey Anthony, OJ. I see you guys throwing the cases in there. You got your true crime.
No.
Interesting to me. Very interesting always. And I don't know if I said this already. Hit that like button. We got the last video to 10,000 likes like so fast. Let's see if we can do it again.
Honestly, I think I'm going to go Cheek Pouch because he's tanky. And it can get Stomping Tantrum.
That may be relevant based on Ms. Boone's testimony.
All right. What do you have move-wise?
Assuming the overact concept is...
Okay, that actually kind of makes sense.
Moving to 22. Family...
That was a previous ruling, but
no.
The overact subject is placed into evidence.
Law case file Boone v. Boone, case number 2017 DR01.
We're gonna grab Body Slam. It'll do less damage, but it has a chance to.
Between Sarah Boone and Brian Boone.
And this is interesting because dreading another true crime channel. I think one of the better spiritual successors to JCS, aka Jim Can't Swim, after his channel was struck for a minute because of his coverage on Jussie Smollett, the black man who faked a hate crime for attention. I was gonna say that this is important though, because Brian Boone, Sarah's ex, was initially going to be called as a witness for the defense. I'm not sure if he's still going to be called as a witness for the defense, but there's a chance he's going to be called by the prosecution, or if he does get called by the defense, he's going to be cross-examined by the prosecution. They had an ongoing legal battle because alimony and the crux of Brian's argument was more or less, Sarah's in prison, she doesn't have a job, the child that we share custody for is in my care, she is in no position to take care of him, ergo, I don't believe I need to be paying alimony. And I don't think there's been an outcome of it, and it more or less paints bias that, oh, Brian Boone doesn't want to pay his ex-alleged murderer in prison any money. As such, he is a dog in this race, and that's going to influence what he says.
Defense is trying to get it in to show the hostility of Brian Boone, adverse witness, and to show his bias.
Family law case file Boone v. Boone, case number 2017 DR01660-0. I understand the state's objection as to relevance and hearsay response.
Judge, Brian Boone, the anticipated is going to testify for the state. We testify for the defense.
So the prior comment is how bad the audio is. Don't worry. I'll recap and repeat the stuff we can't hear.
So we don't get Stomping Tantrum. That's actually really annoying that they get it, but we don't by now. Okay.
On his part, based on some of the documents or orders in court record.
Okay. Maybe we get bulldozed by now. I don't think so, though. Okay. Interesting. We can definitely take advantage of that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna ditch Fury Swipes because I already have Fake Out.
What does the...
It's but a whisper, but here's what he said. When we call him, if we call him, he's going to be hostile. This will show why. He's also going to be biased. And we're going to show, through orders and stuff that's happening in the family law case, why he might want to come and testify against Sarah Boone.
Okay.
Why he may say negative things about Sarah Boone. And they have the recordings where he does talk about some of the abuse going back and forth, that Sarah would flee to his house. So there are some good facts that the defense wants to get out of Brian Boone, but they're going to say, we're going to argue all those bad facts that he's blowing up and making her seem even worse is because, A, he doesn't want to pay her alimony, B, he wanted to move the kid out of town and was able to move their child out of town. I don't mean to be...
We're going to use Bibberol to lead against
that's how the defense is going to couch it. He wanted to take the kid and stop paying the money. That's what they're going to say, and that's his bias against Sarah Boone, and that's why he's testifying negatively to Sarah Boone. Now, should you be able to put a court filing for that? Sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's not. And if I was the judge, I would make him just ask the questions to Brian Boone first, and if Brian Boone says yes to him, there's no need for that court file. If he says no, you may have to refresh his recollection or impeach him with those documents. So it is possible this becomes relevant, but that's what they're kind of discussing right now.
We love simple. That's huge.
It's a little snippy here between the lawyers.
I don't know if I don't get cursed yet, though. That's actually disappointing. Okay.
Have to do with
keep Aquajet.
What's happening in a family case.
Keep Hyperfang.
To me, again,
Yawn.
It's very relevant to his bias, and frankly, he's trying to stop paying because she's in jail. So if she stays in jail, it literally saves him money.
Yep.
So I do.
I get it. Yeah, it absolutely makes sense.
No, but the defense should be able to ask it, and the judge or the
until
jury
I
should
get a curse, we'll use defense curl. Okay. Hopefully we can get flip turn for Bibberol. That would be hilarious.
We're in the position that she's in now. He's biased. And to show that he's biased, that he has not made that rule.
I don't know if I get Wakanda yet, so I may not be able to use Bibberol well, you know? Let's see.
Response?
Sounds like this is ongoing pending litigation that has not
no
been
Wakanda. Feels bad.
Circuit Court judge and I can certainly understand why
we'll go citrus instead.
Pay alimony when their spouse is
same thing with Greedent.
I can certainly understand why somebody may believe they don't need to pay child support when their spouse is incarcerated, and they would probably want to seek legal redress about those issues.
No Shaka, sadly.
So I think the state is conflating issues, and kind of what Bodie's saying here. What did Brian do wrong? I haven't heard anything. Nobody's saying he did anything wrong. Absolutely assert all your legal rights. And if that's how it works in family law, and you can stop paying alimony, great, do it. That's your right.
There you go. All right, nice.
The defense has the right to, same thing in civil cases.
Go team.
Sue your perpetrator. Sue them for everything they have. If they damage you, they do stuff to you like, you know, we see going on in the Diddy case, for example. He's presumed innocent. But if he gets convicted and all the civil lawsuits come, go ahead, do it. But if you testify, they're allowed to ask you about that. And the jury's going to have to weigh. Are they telling the truth, or are they just saying things for money? It's the same kind of deal here with Brian Boone. Not saying he did anything wrong, but it is a fair question.
Gonna do the yawn. We get the Aquajet. It gets to attack again, but now it gets put to sleep.
A serious question. Do you remember Jose Baez bringing up
the
essay
that's
by
fine.
Casey Anthony's dad in his opening statement, but brought no evidence of it during the trial? How is this allowed? So this type of stuff happens.
So this is gonna be protect and last resort. So I'm going to swap in. Let it do its protect. Now we can fake out whatever comes in. Not what we wanted to see. Honestly, I'm gonna go return. I'm gonna go jump kick. It's a good bit of damage, but sadly it's EVO light. We're gonna jump kick again. Huge. Okay. We're gonna jump kick again. Thankfully, it's 95 accuracy. Hopsy, Mopsy, and Floppy Tail are doing good work. We want to save Hopsy for Kamala because it's the only thing that resists Last Resort. Let's go, Moscow. The protect fails. We're gonna fake out. I don't think I can get Hopsy in because it will end up last resorting. So we're gonna go bite. I was hoping we could get the flinch. Eat your berry. Nice. We still have you, but you're asleep. That's huge. That affords us the opportunity to swap in. Aqua Jet. Incredibly clean. Normally, if you don't have a ghost Pokemon, that Kamala is a pain in the ass. Thankfully, we got there. All right.
Sometimes in criminal defense turns, I've said it a million times, get away with way
There's the
more than
Wakanda berry. Hell yeah, that's huge. Okay.
Because
Save.
if they win, 99.99999% of the time, it's not appealable. It's over. Double jeopardy. So they can take some risks. They can toe the line. Prosecutors, that's why they have to be vigilant, holding their feet to the fire, making sure things are appropriate, making sure objections are made and instructions are made. And they should have been. The prosecutor, I don't remember that case. I didn't watch that case gavel to gavel. But in that situation, the prosecutor should be able to say,
all right, let's see.
You hear they said that in opening statement, not a shred of evidence came out about that. They're trying to garner sympathy for this defendant that doesn't exist. So don't be tricked by the word.
And to elaborate on that, during the Casey Anthony trial, her lawyer, Jose Baez, and once again, this is a baseless claim. There's been no evidence that ever came out regarding this abuse. That Casey Anthony's a good liar because right before she went into school, she had her dad's penis in her mouth. And it ended up working. She was found not guilty, but there was nothing to ever substantiate that. But ultimately, the state did not do a good enough job at proving beyond a reasonable doubt. And all the defense had to do was prove there was reasonable doubt. And Jose Baez is a very skilled defense lawyer, and it worked. All right.
Saying in opening statement, when no evidence of that came up, you're only allowed to consider evidence that came out in this trial. You're allowed to make arguments like that if this situation comes up.
Okay, there's nothing here.
The Waukesha parade attack got me here. The snacks are for you and Sarah. LOL. Box number 2 should arrive today with
save.
Starburst, Skittles, etc. Oh no, I should have known there was some kind of irony in your gift. But yeah, that. So I said Waukesha.
The Waukesha Parade Massacre, that was Daryl Brooks, where he drove his car through an active parade, and he's in prison for like 700 years and change. So that's good. Daryl Brooks is also a great example of what it looks like to represent yourself. He was just outrageous, literally throwing everything at the wall and just made a complete mockery of the criminal justice system. That being said, Judge Darrow, she handled it with grace and mercy and is an absolute girl boss.
There's so many like names and cities and places that are in my head that my brain freezes when I see them, you know, like Moscow, Idaho, and all those things that I've learned how to say thanks to a lot of you guys. All right, let's keep going.
It sounds like it's all ongoing.
Are there any orders from the court in that case addressing the non-payment of alimony and that being contemptuous or in violation of any court order?
See, I think, again, I keep repeating myself now, but I don't think that's the issue. The issue is just bias. It's not that it was an order. It's not that he did stop paying. It's that he won.
Skill Link is really nice because it means all multi-hit moves hit their maximum amount, so I don't need loaded dice. That being said, I need to get one with it. So it's gonna take a minute. We're gonna save. We're actually gonna lead with Hopsy for this, since fighting is super effective against normal. We're gonna save again. We're gonna be here a minute trying to get a skill link APOM.
Wants to stop paying. And this is why he thinks he can stop paying. If he does something to keep her in jail. Because if she gets out, he has to pay, right?
Yep.
Especially if she's not guilty. He
Bias and motive, absolutely.
Wrongfully in jail. Not wrongfully meaning she should be able to sue them because there's probable cause and there's bail and everything set. But if she's not convicted of any crime, he should have to pay alimony for all that, right? I think we can all agree with that. Take Sarah Boone out of the equation, just Jane Doe.
No,
They were divorced. I think there was a marital settlement agreement that was attached to the final order. Brian Boone did open the case back up to move the child and games bill, which has happened. And then my understanding is there's still some issues. I think she was given some kind of a notice of a hearing coming up. She's not represented. I don't represent her.
Is there, so if there's no order in the court file finding there's a violation of an order to pay alimony, what is...
Well, there's a final order about his obligation to pay alimony, and I think if he gets on the stand, I'm going to ask him, but you haven't paid her alimony like you were ordered to do so. I can go into under cross-examination.
But it sounds like there's pending litigation.
Yeah.
Including a relocation.
It's not final.
And I don't know, because it's not my case, I haven't looked at it.
That's been decided. He hasn't been able to relocate. I don't know all the ramifications. I'll look at the court file.
Not what I want.
The custodian of the records of the
Give
court file.
me
I'll look at
skilling.
it and I'll let the court know. The state know.
Can you all approach this for a moment?
Sidebar. Let's go.
Maybe
Talk
that
it
wasn't where
out.
They got snippy with each other. Sorry. I thought that's where it was. Maybe it's in a different part. But so he basically says, hold on, let's just chill with this for a second. Everybody come up here. And then they end up overruling the objection, meaning the defense can possibly get into this. I think, and I'm guessing because this happened at sidebar, it's you ask Brian Boone, if he admits it, fine, you got his body set. If he
Acro,
doesn't,
very scary.
You can refresh his recollection with some of these court documents. Let me see here.
And we want this hidden
Do you
ability
think she has a chance?
because otherwise we can't get its hidden ability until Saffron.
I think there's always a chance. It seems like the odds are stacked against her, but she's presumed innocent at this point, and the defense, the state has to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay, the next section we're going to get into is the where they say you forced us to give an overt act. The state's hiding the ball, basically, and they kind of go back and forth here. This is the big chunk of argument we're going to listen to today.
Good. About time. Love it.
Applications based on the court's going to overrule.
Nah, I don't like that.
Sidebar.
The objection at this time for the reasons discussed in sidebar. Moving now to 23, the policies and procedures of the Orange County Sheriff's Office regarding Miranda. Have those been received by you, Mr. Owens?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm no longer seeking to introduce those.
Okay. All right. Based on counsel's representation.
So this is gonna be a slew of L's that the defense is gonna take because it's what I was talking about earlier. There were a bunch of exhibits the defense wanted to use as evidence. Some examples would be testimony from neighbors that moved out, property managers that may no longer be there, conversations between parties that they couldn't get a hold of. They just didn't have enough time, and that's because of the no continuances. And Pete will talk about how this will add to possible post-trial appellate issues, and it'll be interesting to see if there ends up being enough post-conviction issues that it's meaningful and it's not just, yeah, we're gonna deny your appeal, get fucked.
Court takes no action on the state's objection.
Same with 24.
Okay, let's see.
Based on that representation, court takes no action. Moving to 25, records from Tealwood Park Apartments.
Judge, we didn't receive what we wanted. We're not seeking to introduce that.
Okay. Based on counsel's representation, I'm not seeking to utilize it. Court takes no action on that.
And I want to play this part so you guys understood it. There are so many things the defense put on their witness list that they were like, yeah, Judge, we're not going to use it, so we take it off. That makes the judge's life easier. That makes the state's life easier. But you will also hear the defense not necessarily say, we're not going to use it, Judge, but they do say we didn't get it because of the time constraints, and the judge says, I'm going to strike it because you didn't get it. And on the record, Owens is saying, we never got it, Judge, so we're not going to be able to use it. So those are the types of things that are setting up an appellate argument, all based on the lack of a continuance.
Okay, we're good. Had to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Said they wanted and the judge did not give them. So that's something just to keep in the back of your mind every time you hear didn't get it, didn't have enough time, we've only been on this
Fake
case for 45 days or however long it's been.
Return, it's going to do enough damage, we'll be okay.
We needed a continuance and you said no, and you're forcing our hand here to trial, and that's something that, you know, could potentially become an appellate issue in the future.
And this is the part where the judge is going to begin to clap back on the shenanigans of the defense. Okay, let's see.
27.
26.
Ah, T-wave. Boo. Oh, right, I'm disabled. Lamau.
Moving to 27.
Okay.
The video footage of the arrest on February 25, 2020.
The defense has not received that. The state may have it in their possession. It appears there's news footage. Sarah Boone in handcuffs being escorted.
State, do you have such an item in your possession? News footage?
Only go this far up because we want to get defog.
No,
Fake out.
not that I know of.
All right, but we have not
Confusion.
received it, so we don't have the evidence.
Okay, all right. Based on it not being received,
right.
sustain the objection.
Defog gets rid of entry hazards and terrain. Very useful.
The iPhone photo file name, not going to read it, it's very long.
Judge, I do not intend to introduce 29.
Okay. And the court takes no action based on counsel's
Fake out again.
representation.
We're going to be
Moving to
PB maxing
32,
fake out
iPhone
so I
photo.
can get as much mileage from
Yeah,
it
I'm
as
so
I
sorry.
need.
29, what is the ruling?
There is none, as the defense has advised they are not seeking to enter it.
The
into
only way to
evidence.
get Audino as a fairy is the
32,
Megastone,
another iPhone
so we're not
photo
even going to
file
bother
name.
with Mega
Very
Audino.
long, so I'm not going to read it.
This does not intend to introduce.
I'm
As
going to
such, the
come
court will not
back
take
for
any action on
Bugsy
objection.
shortly.
33, another iPhone
I'm going to
photo
fight him
file
pre-surge
name, which I'm not gonna
because
read
his
because
team
it's
is
too
really hard
long.
after.
Defense does not intend to introduce.
But I'll probably do it after I get the
Based on counsel's
Vermilion
representation,
because
court
extra
takes no action
encounters.
On the objection.
Okay, thank you.
There was a lot of this, even more than I'm showing you. That
Meow to Yumi, thank you for stopping by. I hope you're doing well. We just got to Bill's house. We are going to go to Vermilion. We're going to get all our encounters. We're going to clear the SSN. We're going to then backtrack to Misty. We'll fight Bugsy. Then we'll fight Surge, provided we have enough time. But I normally don't fight Bugsy, and his team gets a huge upgrade if you fight him after Surge, so I don't want to make that mistake again. In summation, I'd say the run is going well. We are currently covering a video from Lawyer You Know, that's Peter Tragos of Tragos Law, breaking down recent developments in the alleged suitcase murderer, Sarah Boone. I'm glad to hear you're doing well and that you just got home. Sarah, her lawyer, filed a motion to be provided with snacks during the murder trial, and that was rejected. I thought it was very funny.
that they're like, we're not gonna use it. This is stuff they put on
Yep, exactly.
the exhibit list.
She wanted 2 juice boxes, some peppermints, cookies, Pop-Tart, and or chips. She's gonna get 2 scoops of justice after she's convicted. So her mandatory minimum before any aggravating factors is 22 years for second-degree murder.
48, another iPhone photo file name, 505 period JPG underscore.
Right now, the biggest difficulty I've been having in mono normal is, as you know, there aren't a lot of normal other types. And when I had to fight Ghost, I didn't really have anything I could hit it with aside from like Psychic and Dark. I haven't really had anything from Dark outside of Lopunny with fighting moves. So the type diversity absolutely sucks. And that's one of the reasons why I wasn't super keen on doing normal, because I knew that going ahead of it. That being said, I do have Kangaskhan, so once I get Mega Kangaskhan, that'll be awesome. I have Porygon, so once I get Eviolite, I'll have P2 Porygon for a long time. It's going to be good. We're also going to lead with Lopunny because this is a feline prowess, I think Aeolin Persian. I mean, yeah, Porygon's a really good mon. It's fast. It can have download or trace. It has good type coverage. So yeah, I don't knock that mon doing well for you in your run.
embedded_1_776.
Save again, because it's been a minute.
The objection is sustained based on stipulation.
We're gonna fake out. Mock punch again.
As an indication to me they weren't fully prepared. They
Swap out for Honorius because Psychic dunks on poison.
They were like, just in case we're going to do any of this here. But there could be another reason they have all these exhibits on the exhibit list.
Poison.
And we're going to mention that later when they talk about some of the witnesses that are on the witness list and why they may be there.
We're gonna swap out into Hopsy again. We fake out, return, mock punch, oink alone,
Exhibits previously listed by the state.
double jump kick. Hell yeah. Love it.
So the state is like annoyed by that. Any and all witnesses and exhibits by the state.
All right, let's see.
I would put that on every single one because it's a catch-all. And if they've got it listed, how can it be prejudicial if I call them, Judge? If they've got an exhibit listed and I want to use it, how are they going to object and say it's prejudicial?
Finally, bulldoze.
It's a catch-all. We're allowed to
All right,
use it.
let's
There's
see.
nothing in the law that says we can't use it. Number one, but this is, I think, where this I keep telling you they're going to start going back and forth because I can't remember exactly when it happened. I will mention when the new gruesome details come out that I at least never heard before or didn't know about that happened.
All right.
But this is, I think, I'm going to guess again where they start going at each other a little bit.
All right, good. Nothing here I need.
Like Dr. Dre with an
All right.
Okay, Drea. Okay. I had a
No.
friend named Dre. His name was Andrea. He was great.
No.
Dre as well.
Nope. All right, good. We can move on.
Yes, sir.
I forget, Yumi. What are you streaming tonight?
Judge, Mr. J is a smart lawyer. With a lot of experience, he's board certified.
Ah, awesome. I don't know what Silver Chains is, so I'll make a point to check it out after when you go live. Also, I hope you've drank even a little bit of water today. It's very important to stay hydrated.
Allow the battered spouse syndrome twice. And yesterday, we were forced to disclose the overt act that constituted.
Okay, so the reason why the defense was forced to disclose the overt act is because self-defense, battered spouse is an affirmative defense. So there's elements of it that need to be proven. If I call you a silly goose, you don't get to start blasting. So if the defense didn't present what they consider an overt act, the judge could have very well been like, well, there's nothing in this case that has been presented so far that would qualify as an overt act, and they could outright ban the use of battered spouse or self-defense as an argument. That being said, it did come out. People may argue whether it's a proper overt defense. The overt act is gonna be, oh, he was sticking his hand out of the suitcase. That indicates that I needed to kill him. And that's not how it works. Reasonable man standard is gonna shut that shit down. And rightfully so. We don't want people being the aggressor and getting away with murder because oopsie doopsies, poopsie whoopsies, you know?
Our defense that tied in with the self-defense.
All right, let's see what else is here.
So he's going a different direction than what I said. What I said to me, I think, puts the judge in a difficult position because is he really not going to let me list all the state's witnesses and exhibits? Is he really going to do that? That'd be very weird precedent to say.
All right.
So I would have just thrown it at that. You don't have to get so detailed and argue your entire case.
Like a tongue. I knew I was reading someone.
These motion hearings. This is not the trial, right? It's pre-trial. There are different rules. So he goes a different direction. He's like, well, Judge, because they haven't given us a statement of particulars because you didn't make us make them give us any more information, yet everybody keeps forcing us to give information. It's just not fair. That's why we have to list everything. It's like, that's not the best legal argument, in my opinion. It's not the best legal argument, although I don't disagree with him. It's just, this is a very normal thing that happens in basically every case.
It doesn't fit, so we're gonna have to get clever.
To get us to that posture so he knows our defense and how we're coming at it. The problem is, The state has not been forced to give the details
There you go.
of what they
That's fun.
allege Sarah Boone's overt acts or non-acts.
I need to clarify something. There was no forcing yesterday.
Clap
The
back.
court reviewed Dr. Harper's deposition, and there was no overt act that she had testified.
And Dr. Harper is a medical examiner. It's either a mental or it's physical. But the judge is like, well, you weren't forced because we have testimony from the doctor that interviewed Sarah, and what Sarah told Dr. Harper, there was no overt act.
Too. She was specifically inquired about any imminent fear, and there was no response to those questions.
Judges like, chill with the forcing. Nobody forced you to do anything. Legally, you have to do something to clear a bar, then
It's also good that the judge, Mr. Kranick, doesn't outright ban self-defense / battered spouse, because even though it's not a good argument, it's realistically the only legal argument that they have. And if you can't use the only thing that you have, you could end up adding credence to appellate issues. And you don't want this to take another 5 years because you banned the only defense she could use, and then she's going to take another 5 years to get tried.
legally you have to do something to clear a bar.
Okay,
I read
good.
that deposition, and she did not say she was in imminent fear. So now the judge, again, they're discussing the facts and how the judge reads the deposition and what he thinks. This is not the same thing as making a legal ruling on whether or not there was an overt act. It's very different. The judge is just discussing what was in the deposition, and Owens makes a good point about why the deposition may have seemed or sounded the way that it did, and it's not the end-all be-all when it comes to discussions like this.
Overt act did not appear in any of the 4 or 5.
Yes, different crimes will have different elements. So, for example, in the case of like first-degree murder, there needs to be intent, i.e., you are choosing to do this, you're thinking about doing this, there is some level of planning, thought, premeditation, consideration. In a case where it would be negligence, there's something you're supposed to do, and then you're failing to do it, or you're disregarding it, and it can be maybe you oopsie-doopsie slipped your mind, maybe it was reckless disregard, maybe it was gross negligence. The definition of words, it may seem nitpicky, but it's very important. And it's important that when you're making your argument that you also have supporting case law. So when the defense lawyer made a motion to basically strike the entire interrogation under the grounds of it being her Miranda rights were read improperly, that would be under fruit of the poisonous tree. So if you don't follow the rules that you're supposed to do, and this guy like just gives you a confession, and it's found that those rules weren't followed, then it gets thrown out. The defense lawyer, James Owens, he cited no case law as to why the interrogation deserved to be thrown out. And it was basically, I think it needed to be thrown out because it was coerced and because it was improper. The response that the state had to that was, well, it is allowed, and here's a bunch of cases where the cops did so many worse things, and it was also allowed. So that's another thing to consider.
Sessions that she had with Ms. Boone, the state was seeking, as we addressed yesterday in limine, to prohibit that.
I disagree with that. That was his deposition. He tried to control the witness. He kept cutting her off. He wouldn't let her finish explaining. I certainly wasn't going to do it.
He was trying to control her. He was cutting her off. He wouldn't let her explain her answers.
Okay.
And while it's a little bit of a shot at the state, it is what happens sometimes in depositions. It's like, you didn't get the information that's there because you didn't ask the right questions. I know information you don't know because you didn't ask ask the appropriate things in deposition, and there's nothing that forces me to make the expert do that. Now, it can come back to bite you as the defense, because when somebody says, hey, you don't have this evidence, well, you could have had it if you asked the question. So it's a balancing act of whether you want to, keep things close to the vest, or let it all out there so the judge lets you present your case the way you want to.
Going to testify in trial about it. It's not my fault that he felt like he got the answer he wanted and he moved on. He didn't ask for any elaboration about that. But that's going to come out. But I understand that's all you had. But
oh no!
We had to do that. The state has
Fake
not had to do that.
out.
And I understand of the
Jump
Sixth Amendment that
kick.
we have a right.
Mock punch. All right, very good. We do need to fight Whitney because I want Evie alike.
And the problem
Let's
with
see.
that boilerplate information is we don't know what they're claiming that she
We're gonna grab
actually
Bumblebee
did overact or
because that's
omission
basically my
that
only normal
constituted
ground until I get
murder.
Ursaluna.
So
We're also gonna grab Stuffle.
because of that, we have to list everything because we don't know.
This is just not the right argument, in my opinion, right? It's just not the right argument. I don't know why he did that. This is
I'm
the
not
right
sure if I
argument.
need its hidden ability, so we'll
But
check
I think
shortly.
They should be able to list this on the exhibit list, because I do every single time. This is just not the right argument.
I do
And
need
he
it.
keeps
Huge
trying to
power
make
is incredibly
the argument
powerful.
about the facts and the
Especially
overact
since it
and
has a
the
terrible
statement in
base stat
particular.
for
We all know
attack.
what this case is about. We all know
All
what
right.
the state's going to argue. Why is he acting like they don't know what they want to argue? I don't understand. Even though I do think you should be able to list all the state's witnesses and exhibits on your exhibit list and witness list.
It's like he wants to know. He wants the court to make rulings so that he can tweak his opening statement based on the court. The same with us. We don't know how to respond to their opening until they give it because we don't understand the full nature of what they're alleging Sarah Boone did to constitute second-degree murder.
Again, two different issues. You do know the facts that they're relying on in this case, via the statement of particulars, but also the discovery, the exhibit list,
it
the witnesses,
reset.
what the witnesses are going to say, the
Boo.
depositions. You know.
Return.
Number one. Number two, you reacting to opening statements. In no trial does the other
Heel.
side have to give their opening statement to you first so that you can prepare. You're always reacting to opening statements and closing arguments. You're always reacting to direct examination on cross, or on cross-examination you're reacting on rebuttal. That's what lawyers do.
I'm gonna give it a punch glove so I do more damage.
So
That way we can get through these
in advice
faster.
of caution, we've got to list everything.
Alright.
But we don't know yet because we haven't heard. I would like to renew. They renewed their motion on battered spouse. I would like to renew my motion.
He loves to be like, well, they got to do it, Judge, so we should get to renew our motion on the statement of particulars.
This
Judge,
has
you do okay,
small PP
For a
energy.
statement of particulars.
Eh,
so
it's
that
not
I could
fair.
know,
They got
the
to do it.
defense team could know.
Thank you for stopping by, Yumi. Enjoy the lurk. I look forward to checking out the horror game you're gonna play tonight. And see you soon.
What it is exactly that the state attorney is alleging that Sarah did or did not do that constitutes second-degree murder.
Huge
It's a
power.
serious charge.
Huge. Very
This is
huge.
not- it's a unique case. It's
right.
not something that happens every day, and that's why we believe that it was.
We're gonna
proper
go Judith, so I actually remember
under that
who
rule
it
on the
is.
statement of particulars so
All
that
right.
we can be informed
See.
about what it is exactly that they claim that she
Gonna
did for
grab
us so that
Stuffle.
we can prepare a defense. And it goes directly to this point.
I don't know
which
if I
is
need its hidden
They
ability.
want to know
I don't.
why
Okay,
we want
that's
these
fine then.
documents and what documents specifically are
All
you
right.
going to use. Well, it's difficult to tell when we don't know.
Grab the item
what we're
finder.
accused of.
Any response, Mr. J?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
It's just, I don't like certain disingenuous arguments where it's like, we don't know what we're accused of. It's like,
You know.
yeah,
Come
man, but
on.
you do in this case especially.
You're
So
accused
now,
of second-degree
we
murder.
have
Come on,
a
buddy.
little mini opening statement. So we talk about
Okay.
Delphi.
Let's see.
This is not from the jury or the jury panel or the prospective jurors, just for the judge. Jay is gonna, I think his last name is Jay, is gonna say, here's what we got, Judge.
Okay.
Here's this case. Here's how this is very simply second degree. And at the end, the defense is gonna be like, well, thank you. You should have done that earlier. And it's like, oh boy. It's like, I don't know. Did you really want that? It's like, be careful what you wish for sometimes. But here's where some of the gruesome new details come in that I was like, wow. I knew there was going to be information we don't know. That happens in every trial. But this one was a wow.
Okay,
moment.
so no normal types here. We're just gonna grab the TM and check the raid done.
Mr. Owens.
Okay.
Mr. Cacciatore, myself, and Dr. Werner
Alright.
all sat together within 5 feet of Sarah Boone, first week of October,
Okay, good.
and heard the final version.
Now we're gonna get ready for SSN.
Not very dissimilar from
Okay,
the version
let's
of
see.
Dr. Harper, but Dr. Werner's deposition was provided to the court previously for our motion to eliminate.
Okay.
I don't understand the position they're taking that they were forced to show their cards when Dave Cacciatore and myself and Mr. Owens and Dr. Werner were all there together to hear her version. And her version is, it was all fun and games, it was Sunday fun day, he gets into the suitcase, we're all laughing, I zip it shut, we're still laughing. There comes a point in time when he says, I can't breathe. This triggers her based on her past abuse, no overt act that day. And she begins violently doing the things to the suitcase that she says she did, whacking with the baseball bat on his fingers. And now, after being the initial aggressor, now after having committed,
And that's another thing too. You don't get to pick a fight and claim self-defense.
Torres in a reasonable fear of death or great bodily harm. She says, well, she realizes now if he gets out after these things that I've done to him.
Nice. Love dual wing beat. That's gonna be huge.
So first of all, that's even a little different of an angle than we've heard so far. Is even if her fear was reasonable, even if she did start to say, "Oh no,"
And we'll grab quick attack, so we do have a priority move.
Or whatever it is, because I've hit him and I've done this stuff to the suitcase.
Okay.
Now that
Quick attack as well.
The initial aggressor, I'm afraid he's going to come and do
Having
something.
a priority move is always useful.
Would be enough for self-defense because she's the initial aggressor. So even an additional angle to what we've all been discussing here.
It's my understanding that we have had this discussion, and that if that is the proffered testimony, that is not going to amount to an overt act, which will allow for reputation evidence,
Diggersby, she a thick girl.
or the battered spouse syndrome evidence.
All right, let's see.
They weren't forced to show their hand. I was there. The rules of criminal procedure allowed.
So we'll go
to
adamant
be there and to witness this evaluation. So that being said, we're not abusing the system. We're
Intimidate, that's
doing
huge.
anything that we're not
Love to
allowed
see it.
do, and we're making every effort to make sure that we understand how this trial is going to go down and how they.
Oh, that's really sick. Getting sword dance this early.
Understanding how it's going to go down. She's going to have to testify to the specific events of that day. And right up when she comes to the point to saying, and when he said,
I'm also going to grab hammer arm.
The state
More fighting coverage is huge.
He's going to object. He's going to ask to approach. So he's going to say, Judge.
Okay.
There's been no change in her testimony, unless there is. Then that's a whole different bag of worms.
Oh, of course.
But if there's been no change,
it's a can of worms, though. No bags, please.
Testimony, then again.
All right, let's see.
Deal with that at that time. But if she has the same exact testimony, I'm gonna go up, object, and not let her get into the past issues with George, maybe some violence, his character, because she has not gotten to the self-defense. She has not gotten to the battered spouse syndrome. So Leslie said, I'm confused. Battered
That's a
spouse
toughie.
allowed. So yes, as of right now, as long as they produce the evidence necessary for it. If they finish all their evidence and testimony and they're going to call their expert and the judge finds you haven't presented enough with the overt act, that it wasn't an accident, if you haven't presented any self-defense evidence, then you're not going to be able to go into expert testimony, battered spouse syndrome, the character or violence of the victim. You're not going to be able to get into any of that.
Then we'll also give it to Moscow.
But as of right now, everybody's allowed to argue it. They're allowed to talk about an opening. The state's allowed to respond to it and say, we think that that's what's coming out of the case and opening if they so choose. So as of right now, yes, it's in, but that doesn't mean it's staying in. Nina said, Peter, what's your best defense? It would be something centered around Something he said or did in the suitcase.
There's
freaked out
enough
Sarah
water
Boone.
that I think
So she was
Thunder
like,
Punch
"I
is a
gotta
good
leave him in
answer.
there," and then she passed out because she was drunk. She
Yeah.
didn't, mean
Okay.
to hurt him. There was an accidental element to it, but she
Steel
did intentionally
coverage,
leave him in there
also
to
quite
protect
nice.
herself because she was in fear of
Dual
serious
wing
bodily harm or
beat,
death.
quick
I don't think it's a good
attack.
argument, but I think it's the best one I can come up with right now. But there are more facts coming that, I didn't know until today. So I assume that's going to continue throughout the trial.
Andrew testimony.
And Roost.
Judge, we got a ruling prior to this that there's been no overt act
There we go.
testified
That's
to.
a pretty good
Now
setup,
we
I think.
rejected her answer of because of the past violence, and we're going to object to
Okay.
any further attempt to bring in
And it
prior
will
violence,
be
reputation evidence, or battered spouse evidence.
Moscow
I just want everybody to be clear and on the same
and
page about that. Now, in regards to their request,
How am I doing
request
this?
for statement of particulars, they've had the discovery for several years.
I think I'll stick to this for now.
This is the state's case. A video that's
So here we go.
Wakanda
This
Berry.
is the state's case. This is his mini opening statement.
All right.
here. So take a listen and see if you hear any facts.
What
that
do we
haven't heard
think?
before.
This is the state's case. A video that starts at 11:45 p.m. on 2/23/2020. Sarah,
We'll do a Barry.
for everything you've done to me.
Oh, this is big.
Sarah, for everything you've done to me. Sarah, F you, laughter. Sarah.
I've
F
seen these
you.
videos, so this transcript is pretty grim.
Sarah, stupid. Sarah, that's my name. Don't wear it out. Sarah, I can't effing breathe, baby. Seriously. Yeah, that's what you do when you choke me. Sarah, 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 laughter. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe. Laughter. That's on you. Sarah, I can't breathe. Laughter. That's on you. Sarah, unintelligible, drunken, slurred words.
Ah, that's the best one.
Sarah,
Unintelligible, drunken, slurred words might not be something you can say in front of the jury.
Yeah, probably not.
Until after, I guess, she testifies that she was in fact drunk.
Yep.
What's interesting is I saw somebody in the chat say
We want to
he
grab
should
break
be
break.
slurring his words for emphasis right as he said that. So he is letting the judge know exactly how this sounds. I'm sure the judge has
Fake out.
seen and heard it, but
Power
this
punch.
is good narration. There have been some things I like
Power
and didn't like about
punch.
his presentation and his arguments. I thought this was effective.
Sarah.
Power
Sarah,
up
I
punch.
can't breathe,
Extremely
baby.
powerful.
That's what I feel like when you cheat on me. Sarah. F you.
Yeah, this isn't self-defense. This is I'm a vengeful, spiteful
shut the
piece
F
of
up.
shit, and I'm
Sarah.
murdering you because of it.
That's our case.
That's horrible.
That is an evinced, depraved mind.
Because that's basically going to be
Conscious
the
disregard for
actual
whether he
opening
lives or
statement.
dies.
She's fucking
Whether
guilty.
she put him in there or
Okay.
not, she let him remain.
So we
For
want to
2
fake
minutes during
out.
that video. And
We
then
wanna
at
fake out both of them.
11:23:03 p.m.
Okay?
There's another 22-second video, and it just zooms in on the suitcase. Sarah. So that is a second-degree murder
Thunder
case.
punch.
When the medical examiner comes in and says,
And
Jorge Torres, George
probably
Torres died
return.
from positional
It does a good bit of
asphyxiation
damage.
and the asphyxiation from being in the confined space.
Not nearly enough, though.
And eventually, after
Actually, it
more
did
than
enough.
100
Nice.
breaths, he
All right.
expired in that suitcase when she went upstairs and went to bed. But in addition to those statements, we now have her new statements, which are she
Gonna go
intentionally
into
violently
Judith.
shook the suitcase, threw it upside down,
Gonna
hit him
go
with a bat, hit him with a bat,
into
committed independent
Priscilla.
forcible felonies. And that's going to be corroborated by the medical examiner's testimony to all the blunt force trauma to both sides of his face and his mouth.
Bulldoze.
Now, I don't know if this was just a pattern of his verbiage, or if I'm reading too much into this.
Not
but it
ideal,
sounded like he said,
but it's fine.
hit him with a bat, and he had blunt force trauma to both sides of his face and his mouth.
I could use charge
We
beam.
heard about some of that. Sarah Boone denied that in the interrogation. I think he's quoting or getting a lot
The
of
fact that
details from the
Bulldoze
deposition
hits
from
both
what
targets
Sarah
hurts.
told the mental health
That's why I really need Stomping
experts.
Tantrum when I can get it.
But beating him with a bat, not just in his hand, both sides of his face and his mouth.
Actually, no. Steel wing.
If they prove that, she's cooked.
Oh yeah.
If this is the evidence that comes out, this
And
is
rightfully
so much
so.
more
She's a
than
murderer.
just leaving somebody in a
Allegedly.
suitcase, which is horrible enough.
Yeah.
But this shows a different kind of intent. And I think he's either already said or he's going to say that is a depraved mind and heart.
And that's what's needed for
that is,
a degree of murder. Possibly even first.
Literally, somebody's in a suitcase, you're flipping it upside down, shaking it, and beating it with a bat. I mean,
yeah.
That's gotta be.
Yeah. This is going to be a tough one.
Like, I mean, that is just. This was very effective as in the opening statement. I'll just say that.
That is a second murder case. That is what we're going to be presenting. This
Thunder
is a portion
Punch
of what I will be telling the jury this
and fake
afternoon.
out because for focus sash. All right.
Weeks ago.
His only rebuttal's like, shoot, that sucks for us.
Yeah, what a shame.
That's a lot more detail. That's a statement of particulars. And so here's where we can't get
Okay.
confused. We absolutely have rights.
Power
Criminal
punch
defense
again.
attorneys have the rights of their client, the criminal defendant, for the statement of particulars.
Poor
That does not
Opsy.
mean you have to hear the state's opening statement. Like he
Honorius.
just said. He does not have to provide that to you in writing. That's not how the rules are.
Let's go Thunder Punch.
Conflating issues here, but
Let's go.
now he knows, right? No argument doesn't know what they're going to argue.
Nasty plot.
That's the case in a nutshell.
Thunder Punch again. Confusion.
She was assessed.
Nice.
Sarah Boone, the defendant, was assessed.
Thunder Punch
at
again. Confusion
the Orange
again.
County Jail a couple
Nice.
weeks ago by
Huge.
Dr. Warner. Their rebuttal states as good.
Okay, now.
The characterization
Thunder
that
Punch.
Mr. J just gave about her testimony, I do not agree with.
I mean, of course not. You're the defense lawyer.
There was 4 of us there. Dr. Warner, 5 of us there. Dr. Warner, Sarah Boone, myself, and
Fake
2
out.
prosecutors.
Bite. Heart punch.
The mistake we made was not recording that assessment.
Womp womp.
Because I can't testify to what she said. The 2 prosecutors can't testify to what she said. The only 2 people that can testify to what she said is Dr. Warner and Sarah Boone.
We are gonna do a quick breb. I'm gonna come back. 1 or 2 Pallas Cat videos, then we'll be finishing up this video. Alright, now we're back. So we're gonna pull up 1 or 2 Pallas Cat videos, and then we're gonna take on Brendan fight and Misty. So let's see what else we have for Pallas Cats. Maybe there's been something new-ish. Not really. We'll just go with a classic then. VOD friends, lurkers, hope you've been enjoying the stream. The Pallas Cats that we're about to have. The crime coverage we've been doing. The Pokemon. Which one do we want to go with today? George. George doesn't get enough love. Birds be interrupting his sleep. I'm pretty sure George passed away, and I hate that. But it means he's up in the great step in the sky where there's no birds interrupting his snoozing. So he can get his snooze maxing on. Such a neepy boy. Gonna grab some water while this plays out. This is Roman Pavlov of Monolization. They're one of the people behind the channel. And it is thanks to Roman Pavlov and their team that we get a lot of Pallas Cat content. And I love that for us because now I can talk about Pallas Cats and show them off to all those who want it. And sometimes to those who don't, because unsolicited mono content is something I provide. He's such a neepy boy. So adorable. The Whisker subsystem is absolutely going off right now, so he can get some quality eep. We'll do one more Pallas Cat video. But yeah, subscribe to Monolization, Pallas Cats in parentheses, on YouTube. We will do one more. It's probably going to be Zelenogorsk. He was found in Zelenogorsk, a place in Russia. Roughly translates to Greenberg/Greenville. He's going to be chilling on his tail because you got to keep the peats warm. He's also a very silly man. I love the music. It's quite soothing. Such a silly little handsome guy. Must be so hard to get comfy as a cat. Oh, doing a yawn. He be eat maxin'. And that was also brought to us by Monolization, i.e. Roman Pavlov and team. Alright, we're going to take on the Brendan fight. We'll let the crime coverage play out. We'll beat Misty. That will afford us to take on Surge. Very likely. I only have one ground type. So that's going to make Electric/Palmot difficult. I may have to go ahead to Celadon and see if I can find more normal types. I can check the docks and see if there's anything else that would be useful. Otherwise, I'll just suck it up and fight Surge and get it over with, you know?
Dispute their characterization of what she said. That's just going to have to be testified to by Sarah Boone and then Dr. Wood. And jury,
once again, not to harp on this too much, but he brought up the statement of particulars. What are we talking about now? We're kind of already past the fact that, yes, she's going to testify, and then the judge will make the decision and deal with whether or not we can go forward with the battered spouse defense. Like, that's already happened, but it's rehashing the same issue.
While we're here, they are going to have to decide who to believe and what happened.
Agreed.
But that is a jury question that we're all going to have to wait for.
Correct. But it's not always a jury question, right? There are certain things the judge can step in and be like, no, there's not even, she did not testify to enough to even get to the battered spouse defense, and that's what they're talking about. I forgot, is the actual video still coming in? Yes, the defense did not even object to it.
There's a few things I want to grab. So I'm probably going to go to Celadon.
Melanie Little, she is down. So, you know, there's like tons of people that are awesome on YouTube. I don't know Melanie Little at all, so I don't know. I know that she is a lawyer. I don't know, you know, what if she's following this case or if it's another case you're asking about. The only time that I get able to have people on and really have conversations with people is on the podcast for like specific cases and stuff. So
I think we can make this work.
Try to get to. I'll put her name on it, and we'll see if there's an opportunity for us to get there for sure. You can't handle the truth, Mr. Owens. Yeah, that's something.
All right, not bad. This is probably going to be a sleep into calm mind.
Something I was asking for a couple weeks ago. Thank you.
For the same reasons that the court identified when we had the hearing on the original motion for particulars,
it's okay,
the court
though.
relies on its same ruling.
Fake out.
Identified at that
Bite.
time.
Bite.
The renewed or tennis motion for a statement of particulars is denied. The state's objections to paragraph 59 and 60 are also overruled.
Staravia. We resist it.
The only other issue to address then is the Richardson violation. Court's going to take a short recess, and we'll address that as promptly as possible.
Not ideal.
It is 5 till 11. I still intend on moving forward with
Fake
jury
out.
selection this morning. We will be moving to 23, correct?
Huge.
I'm just
Very
making
nice.
sure I'm clear on 60. Our request was that prior to the testimony of any of the listed witnesses, which I listed only by initials, that we have the opportunity to depose them and we address the costs of expedited transcripts. I just want to make sure.
All right, time to take on Misty. Let's see what that's gonna be. I think I know who it's gonna be.
Just looking at what was articulated in the exhibit list, which was any and all relevant reciprocal discovery to be obtained through ongoing investigative efforts. What's your response?
Not Priscilla.
Mr. Owens, with regard to these
and
persons
not Judith.
In the state's
and
objections,
probably not Staravia. Okay.
The state listed a bunch of witnesses on October 3rd. Well, if the court allows the state to do this and take the depositions, then we ought to be allowed to take the depositions of the witnesses.
Okay, let's see. So
I believe those are the same witnesses.
I'm gonna grab Smoliv because grass coverage for Misty.
Deputies that went out on the call-outs in cases that resulted in cases in the state attorney's office and 911 dispatch.
I'm going to grab a dark type for Staryu.
Again, we don't dispute that they should be allowed to depose them, but they've been listed by both parties, whereas these people are unilaterally listed by the defendant.
Alright, so let's see.
I'm not complaining.
23.
Been on the case 45 days as we have gotten witnesses or found witnesses, Billy Lang or whoever else.
I need to see what its stat spread is.
We have tried to disclose based on what Sarah Boone has asked us.
Okay. Seat Silver's interesting. I like that. Okay. Oh, and it's super slow as well. Oh no. I hate that.
Sarah Boone has a right to trial. Sarah Boone has a right to testify. Sarah Boone has a right to appeal. I believe those are the limits. But the defense lawyer makes the decision about which witnesses to call.
Mega Drain, since we don't have Giga Drain.
Witnesses. She's asked us to find them and list them and locate them, which we've done. That doesn't mean that
growth.
And it may not, we may not call any of those that she wants to. I believe.
We're gonna need to hold an Iceberry as well.
He says, I may not call them, right? She wants me to put them on the list. She wants all these witnesses, which again, that's not very uncommon for defendants to say that, you know, that's what they want. Call this person, call that person. But at the end of the day, the trial strategy is up to the defense lawyer. And he's like, listen, I don't know if I'm going to call all of them. She wanted me to put them on the list, so I put them on the list. That's basically what he's saying, which gives you a little insight into what the relationship
I don't have
is like
access to the
and
final
how
form
he's
yet.
prepping this trial and trying to get these witnesses. He's like, I'm doing the best I can. Actually, so there's one more small clip I want to listen to. Afton said, did Owens try to exclude the cell phone evidence through trickery? The defense objects to all cell phone video evidence. No, I don't know, obviously, his intent, right? I can't assume his intent, but the way I look at it, it seemed more like he was not prepared to make the individual objections.
Snarl will be very
instead,
useful for Starmie.
He just kind of objected to everything and was going to deal with it later, number one. Number two, he wanted to preserve the right to object to it during trial, which is correct. You should still be able to object to that stuff during trial. If something doesn't come up, it's not authenticated, there's an issue, it's not relevant, whatever may happen, you have to have the ability to do that at trial. So that's, I think, what he was really trying to do, is preserve his right to object. Peter, what happens if it turns out that one of the jurors had knowledge of the case and made comments against Sarah beforehand? Well, as long as they're open with the defense attorneys about that and the prosecution about that, then it's fine if they still let them on the jury. But if they lie about it, or they say, never heard about it, have no opinions, have no statements, well, then
it's an issue,
the issue that they lied under oath and they didn't reveal information that was
okay.
to the case.
35 of nighttime, so that's basically not happening yet.
All right.
Okay. We'll go adamant.
Present our defense with our witnesses as paramount.
And then we're gonna ditch Snarl since we're attack focused. What I really want is Sucker Punch, and it doesn't look like I get Sucker Punch. So that means we're gonna go for the Eradicate, because I know it gets Sucker Punch.
Regarding the paragraph number 2, regarding the Winter Park Advent Health Records, the 119 that we gave him this morning.
16 at night. Okay, we can absolutely do that.
With regard to the witnesses that have been identified by the defense in paragraph 60 of the state's response, those witnesses will be excluded if not deposed prior to being called as witnesses.
Sucker Punch, huge.
For any and all expedited transfers.
It does have a heal, so it may not end up always working.
Meredith McCaskill and Victoria Shelton.
Response?
Meredith McCaskill is an FLE analyst that is substituting for an analyst that is unavailable during the trial period, so in an effort to not continue the case.
I mean, if I keep Hustle, that's actually not bad. But I don't think I'm going to be keeping Hustle.
So the judge is like, state?
Yeah, no.
The defense can't call any of these witnesses they listed late unless you get a chance to depose them, and the defense has to pay for it, pay for the expedited transfer because it's their fault because it was late. The defense is like, well, judge, us too.
I don't want to miss.
Like, whoa.
So we're going to stick to Gluttony instead.
Because we didn't want to continue the trial, and there's another witness that could testify to somebody that was unavailable. It's like, well,
we're going to go adamant as well.
Same thing. It's a late disclosure, and I get you don't want to continue the case. You can continue the case. That's an alternative if you want to ask for that. You know, then it's up to the judge. But if you're going to give new witnesses, it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Yep, I believe it.
Michelle Fenner and
we're also going to go black glasses, so I do more damage. Okay.
That's fine.
So Ratilda's good.
What I would expect, not be lengthy.
Dolive will be defense up, I think.
In this matter.
Actually, no, we're gonna go modest. We'll do Yachi Berry because ice.
Other positions, Mr. Owens. Okay, all right. State will afford the same opportunity to defense as provided by the state to the defense. Court's going to be in recess. It's 11:27. Hang on. Juror number. Yes, let me address that. Can I have the thing again?
We are going to grab Thunder Punch for this as well.
Sheets from jury selection. Madam Clerk
not fire.
Jury Services has told us
No.
All right, so then they go back to picking a jury, but it's always funny when it comes back on the prosecutor. They're like, "Whoa, wait a second, so something bad for us." And said the defense lawyers are somewhat rusty. The 911 call is not being used by the defense. Can the prosecutor? I don't know what's listed on each exhibit list, but yes, the prosecutor would be able to use the 911 call if they want to. Can the prosecutor use 911 calls? What I meant, she came across.
I don't feel like missing with high jump kick.
A lot of her statements.
Okay, let's see.
Manley said, "Do all attorney staff in Florida look like Charlie's Angels, or is this an enigma?" LOL. No comment. No comment.
Lamau.
1979.
That's fine.
The YSL was wild today. Please don't stop covering it. So I gotta be honest, with all these other trials going on and all the other stuff going on with the hurricane, not been able to follow YSL the last couple weeks.
I don't think I have a Thunderstone. If I do, I'm absolutely getting Raichu, because in this it's normal, electric, and I think I get fake out early on, so even more fake out coverage, which is always nice. But I may not have. Oh, I do have a Thunderstone. Okay, so that's actually huge. We are absolutely gonna grab Pikachu for this fight then. This way I have stab electric rather than simply electric. I'm not sure what I'm doing for Clodser. Probably Honorius, because I know I outspeed Clodser, so I can taunt to prevent recover spam, and then I can hit him with a psychic move. All right, what do we have? Where most of her team is really fast, so I'm not gonna be doing Electro Ball, I don't think. We keep the fake out. We grab Spark because it has higher base power. When do you evolve Pikachu? I think it has to be Thunderstone, because I'm pretty sure Shiny Stone is Aeolin Raichu, which is Electric Psychic.
So if we get into it, we'll try to. It's just so much happens that I fall behind so quickly in that case. But
Lightning Rod would have been clutch.
All right.
For
I did see the Adelson appeal.
Yeah, I'm absolutely gonna go to Celadon.
Press conference. If you guys want videos on those, let me know in the comments. Make sure you hit the like button if you have not already. Make sure.
So yeah, that's Lawyer You Know. They put out videos almost daily on various cases that are currently going on, whether it be the Donna Adelson, which you mentioned, whether it be YSL, whether it be Sarah Boone, hurricane coverage when Milton was happening. I always think it's beneficial to consume crime coverage through the lens of a lawyer, in addition to people who are talking heads like myself who never got to practice law, because, you know, obviously I didn't do well enough on the LSATs to go into law school, and I wasn't going to get into debt, you know? Very good. Love me some cider now that it's getting cold out. Since we're not doing any more crime coverage, I'm just gonna put music on. And I did find an answer for music, kind of. So let's go back to like here or so. Once it finishes buffering, because that's important. This way we at least have something, you know? All right, so let's pull this up. All right, Raichu. Thunderclap is basically special Sucker Punch. Very powerful. Getting Thunderbolt this early, huge. Okay. I really would have liked the hidden ability. Yet another reason why we're going to sell it on to get dream patches, etc. Okay. We're gonna go defense down, speed up. Actually, no. Defense down, special attack up. Okay. There you go, mild. Okay. We're actually gonna go speed up on Honorius to make sure we outspeed the Clodser. And then we can hit it with a taunt and a side beam. Since recover spam is very annoying. I may not have the ability to set up, so for now I'm just gonna ditch sword power. Okay. So Hopsy is good. Moscow is fine. Orangaru is fine. I don't think I get a better ability. Dolive is okay. That tackle's a bit shite though. This could be better. I'm pretty sure I get access to Fang moves, so I'm probably gonna get one of those. I'm gonna keep Sucker Punch. I'm gonna keep Hyper Fang. And by Hyper Fang, I'm actually not. I'm gonna keep Quick Attack. I am pretty sure I do get the Elemental Fang moves, so I'm gonna give those to Eradicate. Okay, let's see. No, okay. That's kind of cringe. Maybe it's only the normal Eradicate that gets it. Okay. I mean, static's useful. Para for free. Oh, excuse me. We're gonna go Magnet to make sure we do more than enough damage. Okay. Don't need fire for anything. Ah, there's Stomping Tantrum. Finally someone gets it. This will very likely get play in Surge. I just have to watch out for the fact that Palmon has fighting and Dark Normal is 4 times weakness to Fist. That's actually really interesting that it gets Drain Kiss. We're gonna nix Doll Eyes for that. Okay. No. I think we're okay now. Let's just check ability for Orangaru, since I don't really care about telepathy since it's not a double battle. Inner Focus, no flinch. Huge. That means it's basically a free Fake Outmon. Well, it's a free open against Fake Outmon. No. Yeah, no. Hustle's interesting if you get a bunch of can't miss moves, but I'd rather not miss if it can be helped. Okay. Go team. We're gonna lead with... We're gonna lead with Hopsy. I'm actually gonna remove that, and we're gonna grab Magnet for stronger Thunder Punch. I know I outspeed the Frogadier, but it also has Eviolite, so that's not great. Okay. You can go up and to the left, and you can skip. Then you can go right up to here, also skip. Save. Go team. Alright, so right off the jump, we fake out. We outspeed. Thunder Punch with a magnet. It doesn't, but it gets really close, which honestly, that's fine. Now it's Rock, so we Mach Punch. In comes Clodser. It probably is gonna wanna do some bulldozing to lower my speed. So I'm gonna hard swap into... I'm gonna hard swap into Honorius. We taunt, so it can't recover. It swaps out instead. Floatzel doesn't have any buffs, so that's a swap that makes sense, you know? I'm just gonna go for the Water Pulse. And by Water Pulse, I mean Charge Beam. Okay. Flip turn, that's fine. This is probably Clodser because it reads the electric. No, Starmie, okay. I don't hate that. Sadly, I don't think I live a, Psyshock. So we're gonna swap out into Ratilda. Oh, it went recover. But that's actually fine because it wasn't super low on HP. Now it won't want to recover because it's already at full HP. Okay, huge. Eat your berry. It probably wants to recover here. So instead I'm gonna go quick attack. I don't think it double recovers. Okay. Floatzel. It doesn't have any non-attacks. Not enough damage. It's okay though. We can go Hopsy, we can fake out. Clodser comes in. We go into Orangaroo. We taunt, so can't recover spam. Confusion. Hopsy again with the fake out. Jump kick. The berry. Very annoying. Or I should say, berry annoying. Sadly, this is gonna be neutral. Yeah. Clodser absolutely did more work than I would have liked. Looks like we're going for Moscow. We're gonna fake out. We're gonna power up. We're gonna power up. We're gonna power up. We're gonna power up. We're just gonna keep power upping so we can eventually kill it. So that was harder than I thought because I was never able to effectively get the taunt off on Clodser. But on the upside, Misty down. Level cap is 34. We're gonna start making our way through the next route because we are absolutely going to Celadon to get more encounters. That way we can fight Search more effectively, since at this moment we only have one ground type. And ground or outright Volt Absorb, etc. super useful for Surge. We also need to up the level cap. Good enough. Thank you. And yeah, we need to get Flash from the Professor's Aid. Okay, fake out. Honestly, even though it's a 4x weakness, we do it because we have access to Zen Headbutt. Bad Tantrum. We keep tantruming. We're a very Yangy mouse. Eel. There's an upcoming fight that's really gonna suck because one of the moves it has is close combat with Contrary, and it just gets really powerful. It's a huge pain. We're gonna have to rely on a flyer for that, since we don't have any ghosts yet. Okay. No, 90 accuracy, I don't want to mess with that. No, because Honorius is a special attacker. Absolutely energy ball instead of tackle. Earth power instead of mega drain, absolutely. Once we have giga drain, we'll probably keep that in the rotation. Chip away's not bad, but I don't really need it. Dizzy punch. I do like that it's 100 accuracy, but I'd rather not for now at least. Raichu. Honestly, you're gonna be good for a while. Agility, no. All right, go team. Let's clear through this. Fake out. Mach punch. Lots of mach punching, since I don't always want to go high jump, kick, and miss. I actually think I'm gonna go, what's it called? I'm gonna go brick break, just so I don't have to worry about missing. I can get jump kick later if I really want to. Nix the magnet. We're gonna go, I think, Silk Scarf, because it'll boost the fake out damage. Yeah, that's gonna be very useful. Okay, fake out. Honorius. I'm actually really glad we got a Rangaroo this early. It gives us coverage against things that dunk on fighting. Okay, fake out. Eradicate. Ah, the hypnosis. Big sad. Raichu instead, apparently. Fake out into Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt. We're gonna want to get Indeedee because we can get a competitive Indeedee, which means, hey, guess what? Anytime it gets hit with a down stat, it goes up. Its special goes up, and that's an answer to that. Can be an answer to Mega Manetric. I think I need two because I need one that's a male, and then I need another that's a female. Also, Psychic Surge. That'll override Pincurchin's Electric Surge. I mean, it's gonna outspeed, so I'll have to swap in after I kill, what's it called? After I kill Pincurchin. We're also gonna grab Rufflet while we're here. I know it can become Hisuian Braviary, but I can't use that one because it's mono normal. Let's see. Okay, we're good. We're gonna get to the start of Rock Tunnel, and then we'll find someone to lurk. This was a bonus stream anyways, but it's gonna be the new normal. Every Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. through 8 p.m. Eastern, to make up for the fact that I'm only doing 2 hours each day instead of 4. Some sort of affiliate grind, you know? Okay, fake out. Ow. It's fine though. There you go. Provided I actually get to go. Yeah. Ah. Now this is the fight I'm not looking forward to, because it's a Choice Scarf Smeargle, and then it's V-Create, Dragon Ascent, and funny third thing. So we're gonna go with the fake out. Fake out into... Zen Headbutt. Swap into Hopsy. Ouch. Mach Punch. Not ideal. This is the only thing I have to resist the fighting. The reason why this is so terrifying is because it has contrary. So anytime its stats drop, they go up. Fake out, pup, and then pup again. Nicely done. Oh yeah, I'm out. Right, so let's eel. What do we have here? Technically skitty, but I don't think it's very good, so we're not gonna bother. I have more than enough only normals, but we'll absolutely grab Helioptile because Heliosk is one of the few mon that is normal electric. It'll also give me another option for electric. I think it also has dry skin, which is kind of hilarious. I have to double check. Oh, solar power. It becomes more strong in the sun. I forgot about that. So we are now gonna go to here. We want to get flash. That way I can go right into Rock Tunnel and we pick up on Meownday. Thank you. There's no normal fossils, so I don't have to worry about the fossil guy. What do we have here? I know Thief is up here, but are there any normal types? Okay, let's see. There's not. I figured at the very least I would check, you know? While we're here, we're also going to change the level cap so it's proper. Okay. Yes, very good. All right. This really feels like Mario music. Well, let's get this fight over with. I do have steel, but only on a flyer. So I think I'm just gonna go Moscow. Fake out. Neutral damage. Sleeps cringe, but it's dead. Okay. Gonna find someone to raid here. VOD friends, lurkers, those who decided to stop by and chat, such as HQ, Cosplay Gamer, Yumi, and friends. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you enjoyed the Pokemon, Lawyer You Know / Core TV crime coverage, and Pallas Cats. We're gonna wrap up with a Pallas Cat video, and then we're gonna find someone to raid. I hope you have a good rest of your Thursday through Monday. I will see you all on Meownday. Okay. Let's find one more Meownwell video. I'm gonna go with a few alien sightings. Those are always a good one. I've never seen Nightmare Before Christmas, but it feels like a Nightmare Before Christmas situation. Presumably somewhere in Asia, based on the letters. Probably China. Big old massive cat eyes, since you know it's the middle of the night and needs to be able to see. God bless trail cams. It takes a long time to get all this footage. One example, there was a documentary where it took over 20 days to get like a few minutes of footage. That's how elusive these cats are. I don't think they know they're cameras, but cats do be curious, as is the saying. And I have two more of those that we can go with. So we just did that one. Let's do this one. It's a bit worse because of the weather. but you got the glowing eyes. It's very much charging up its laser. Eye lasers. Finna go Homelander on the cameraman who set this. We'll let it play through one more time and then we have the last one. I love that it's also very motionless. It must think the camera is a T-Rex, where its eyesight is based on movement. I actually don't know if that's still true. I just remember that that was a thing back in the day. And then this was the other one. The X-Files. I'm not sure which cat this is. I actually think this is Kara, who used to live at the Big Cat Sanctuary in the UK. Very fluffy, super adorable. She's in the great step in the sky, living her best life, and I love that for her and her husband Jethro, who's also up there. Also, big sniff. I also love the implication that because it says camera 1, there's a bunch more cameras. All right, now we're gonna find someone to do raid. I'll double check to make sure they're actually active and they just didn't go offline. Don't want none of that. All right, let's see. Yeah, that'll absolutely work. All right. That raid sadly isn't happening because their chat is limited to follower or sub only. So I respect that that's what they want to do, and I'm not going to do that. All right. What else do we have? All right, this will work. I did find someone. They have crime in their title, so maybe they also like to do crime coverage. That would definitely be ideal. Take care, everyone.